Welcome to another episode of Video Store Rejects. This is a podcast where we discuss directors' filmographies, one film at a time, and our favorite film franchises. Today we are talking the Coen brothers. I got my AC cranked as high as it can, or low as it can go, because we're going to talk about Fargo. And I have a very special guest with me, Mr. Robbie Fleming, to talk about this movie with me.
Hello,
Welcome to
Jason.
this.
Hello, everybody.
So are you a fan of the Coen siblings, the Coen bros, Mr. Joel and Ethan Coen?
Yes, but I think they are 50-50 filmmakers because they have their fair share of classics and masterpieces, but they also have the films you do think, come on, you guys can do better than this.
I mean, I don't know. There's only a handful, in my opinion, that aren't up to snuff. They to me are probably some of the best living filmmakers making movies today.
In comedy, they are like gold. They are in the top tier for comedy directors, in my opinion. I prefer their more comedic style to their more darker style, more
Well, that's
serious.
interesting. That's interesting. You wanted to talk about this movie. But I mean, a lot of people consider this their masterpiece. But this kind of melds those two worlds together.
The comedy and the serious.
Yeah, because this is a very dark and disturbing film by the plot and the subject, but there is that Coen brother comedy in here, and part of
Yeah.
it is they're perfectly capturing the area, which I think they do almost all the time in their films, is they perfectly capture the area of which the film takes place, but they're actually from Minnesota. So this is like their backyard that they're filming in and working with.
Yes, yes, and I kind of like how they all say "yeah," like the accents, just, and that what makes a comedy in this film, just them being themselves.
Yeah, I love all the interactions between the locals when the cops are interviewing them, and it's just so nonchalant, and they're talking about all these serious things, and they're like just like yeah, you know.
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Yeah,
So what do you love about this movie?
the vibe. It's got a nice style to it, like that really captures the Coen brothers, and I love the story because it shows the crime first. And then, like, after we witness the crime, we meet our protagonist and we see how she deals with the situation. It's quite clever writing, in my opinion.
Well, absolutely. And the thing I love about it is that the hero is a truly good person, and like she just kind of stumbles into this like it's not, and she's just doing her job, right?
And the stakes are higher for her because she is carrying child.
Right, and she's pregnant. So, and I love that the Coens make her like really good at her job, even, and there's none of that politics or misogyny seems to be going on in the police department. Like the
I love her. They think she's
yeah,
up on the floor.
it seems like the other deputies respect her and do what she asks, and even when she kind of berates the one guy for not doing proper police work, she does it in a way, and it could just be that accent or her as a person, that it doesn't come off like she's berating him. It's just like, hey, I think you made a mistake there, when like he's running the plates on the car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'll tell you who is my favourite male character in this movie. It's her husband.
Oh my God, John Carroll Lynch very underrated character actor we have here in the United States. But I have to say, this might be one of the best married couples I've seen on screen.
A
I
lot
just
of
love
people do that actually when I showed them this movie.
I love their relationship.
Do you think because Joel and Frances are married in real life, do you think that it's based on their marriage? So I can picture them two to be nice people.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible. And the thing I love about the Coens, especially Joel, is he's married to such a phenomenal actor, but he doesn't just cast her in every film they do.
No,
Like,
he's not. They're not like Ben Falcone and Melissa McCarthy.
yeah. And it's interesting because she's like, every time they write a script, I wonder if there's a role in it for me. And sometimes there is, and sometimes there not. And this has got to be the best role they've done for her. It's one of the few where she's the lead.
Definitely.
I mean, they gave her an Oscar for this role. She won the Academy Award. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, and
so
she'd go on to win two more later on.
2 more Oscars. Yeah. Yeah. Cuz she's the goat. But they did their own backstories for their characters, and I wonder what you think about this. So they decided that apparently they both met on the police force, but he quit because she was obviously a better police officer, and he did something else for a living once they became a married couple.
That does sound interesting, to be fair.
Yeah, and I'm kind of getting John Carroll Lynch vibes for myself right now, even though I have a job, but I work from home. So I kind of feel like I'm like in that camp of
Is your wife
husband.
a cop then?
No, my wife's not a cop, but she does work for a state facility for mental patients here.
Nice.
She works as a therapeutic teacher, so to speak. Like they do programming and activities with the patients.
That sounds nice.
And I also love that like almost every time you see them, they're eating. I
Yeah,
mean, like this is a good movie to watch if you're hungry and just like veg too.
definitely.
Even though it's like violent and disturbing, it's yeah. And if you don't, because most people know John Carroll Lynch, especially my generation, know him as the brother from Drew Carey, but he's a chameleon of an actor. I mean, he was in Zodiac. He's probably in one of the best episodes of The Walking Dead.
You forgot that he's also in Shutter Island and he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's fantastic in almost everything he does. And yeah, I love their relationship. And when they were writing this, there were 3 actors they had in mind for roles. Of course, it was Francis for Marge, and then Steve Buscemi and Peter Stormare for the Crooks.
Yeah,
And partly the reason they wanted Peter Stormare is because they wanted to cast him in Miller's Crossing to play the Swede or whatever that guy's name is in the movie, and
yeah.
he couldn't do it. So this time he took it. And man, is he frightening in this movie. And he
He's
hardly says a
one,
word.
but he's also a bit dopey as well.
He is a bit dopey because he's like Pancake House. But I mean, he's a brute and a force to be reckoned with. And when shit hits the fan, he does not hesitate to take it to the next level.
But he was scared of Marge when she arrested him.
Yeah, that is kind of strange. Like, he's already brutally murdered.
And he didn't notice her to begin with when she was shouting in his face, "Stop police!"
Well, he did have a wood chipper going. It was pretty loud.
Oh, I just thought he was being a bit like Dom.
I mean, he might have been a little bit, but like, but yeah, I think he's great in this, and I love their rapport, even though it's like an odd couple that I don't guess they don't like each other. So I wonder how they got connected to work on a job together, because you have Peter Stormare, who's a bit dim but a brute and a scary, intimidating guy, and then you got the motor mouth Steve Buscemi.
He kills it in this role.
Oh yeah, he's great. This is one of his best roles, and I just love their exchange in the car where Buscemi is mad and he's like, "Can you say anything?" And he's
Found
like,
out he was in this film. I think that's what made me want to watch it.
"So was this your first Coen Brothers movie, or had you seen some of their later films?"
Second, the first was No Country for Old Men.
Okay. Well, that's an interesting parallel because they have similar vibes.
Yeah.
A little less humor in No Country, but it's still there. But that's also an adaptation.
And
Of,
Fargo's got a more to the point story as well, and an actual good ending.
well, it's less esoteric. They haven't gotten to their esoteric stage of films yet. That's coming. That starts with The Man Who Wasn't There.
I'd say, in terms of that word, which just had left off about an ending, I'd say the first one they did was Big Lebowski, because that kind of ends just at a point, doesn't end with a full fleshed out ending.
No, but you don't have to watch The Big Lebowski numerous times. You can because it's rewatchable, but you're not left there pondering anything because you're just having a fun time with the adventure.
Yeah, definitely.
You're just enjoying the characters and the adventure they're on.
Yeah. Is that why I know people that aren't like keen on No Country for Old Men because they struggle to get entertainment value out of it? Whereas you can get entertainment with Fargo.
Probably. I mean, I don't know. It's a very popular movie over here, anyways. Even critically and commercially, it's one of their more successful films.
It's a well-made movie, and yeah, it deserves its acclaim and awards and stuff. I just personally think there's better out there.
Yeah, I don't know too many people that say No Country's their best or their favorite, but you know, I don't know too many people are like, "Oh, this is a pile of crap" either.
I only know like 3 or 4 people.
But yeah, I love the exchange in the car, and then Buscemi's like, "Oh yeah, we could play this game," and then he won't shut up. He can't shut up.
And hence why the joke in Big Lebowski is Donnie, shut the fuck up.
Yep, that's exactly why that's in there, because he wouldn't stop talking in Fargo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think both of them are great. I love their rapport with each other. Interesting thing, when Steve Buscemi calls up William H. Macy on the phone and tells him, "You've got 30 minutes." There's literally 30 minutes left in the movie.
Literally.
Yeah.
And I think this is Carter Burwell's best score to a movie as well, because I love the score of Fargo.
Oh, it's so good. It's so haunting and yet peaceful at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's top notch. I would say go check out Blood Simple, because he's been scoring most of their movies from the beginning.
He didn't score Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
Yeah, that's T-Bone Burnett, right?
Yeah, T-Bone Burnett, that's his name.
And I believe he also did the score for Inside Llewellyn Davis.
Who T-Bone?
Yes,
Probably.
I think so.
I'm glad
But
Roger Deakins shot this film.
oh, isn't it beautiful looking, especially with the red lights with the cops' cars at night and everything?
The snow.
Oh yeah, and
Snow.
apparently they had to shoot at a different location because where they were shooting, the snow was they were having a mild winter in Minnesota, so they had to go to a different part of Minnesota to get the snow. And apparently there was a day they were shooting that was sunny, and Roger Deakins was upset because he's like, this doesn't fit the aesthetic of the movie.
Do you think he's the best cinematographer to work with the Coens?
Well, I mean, besides Barry Sonnenfeld, who shot
Miller's Crossing.
Miller's Crossing and Raising Arizona and Blood Simple. Oh, Deakins didn't shoot Macbeth, which was really that was a really beautiful shot film. But I'm trying to think, what other film did Deakins not shoot since Barton Fink?
He didn't shoot Burn After Reading. That was Lebetsky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Deakins is probably their best cinematographer to work with. I think they get each other. But he works well with so many directors. He works well with Denis Villeneuve. He works Sam Mendes. I mean, come on, 1917.
And Skyfall.
And yeah, Skyfall, maybe not the best Bond movie, but it's definitely the best beautiful looking Bond movie. Yeah, I think he's just a great cinematographer, so he probably works well with whoever he's working with.
Did you know he shot Shawshank?
Yes. Yes, we talked about that last week when we were talking about the Hudsucker Proxy, because
I think that's his best shot movie to date.
I mean, it's a gorgeous movie. But yeah, we talked about the parallels between him and Tim Robbins and both the movies not doing well financially, which is different. I think this movie, I guess they kind of went back to basics after the Hudsucker Proxy didn't do well and kind of did a smaller scale movie. I think this
more of a comedy then.
Yeah, that's more of a comedy. More so than this even, because I mean, really what makes this a comedy is the characters and their exchanges between each other.
I would say to people that Fargo is a serious movie that becomes a comedy, and Big Lebowski is a comedy that becomes a serious film.
Yeah. Yeah,
in the way they're made.
Certainly, I think this movie is definitely isn't. I don't think they said, "Oh yeah, this is a comedy." And I think with the Big Lebowski, they knew it was a comedy, but they're like, "But we're gonna put this in a detective story and mix the stoner comedy with a PI story."
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think? This is how the Coens describe Minnesota. They said it's Siberia with family restaurants.
They are not wrong.
I mean, it can be very cold and desolate there, and in fact, everywhere I've lived, when I lived in Ohio and it was cold in the wintertime, everyone would tell me it's not Minnesota. So
I can picture Colorado to be bad with snow.
Yeah, Colorado can be bad. But Minnesota is almost in Canada, so I think that's also partly why it's so
Oh, that's why the accent.
Uh-huh. That's why you hear the you knows and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that accent though. I don't know if I could take anyone seriously if they were yelling at me in that accent though.
Yeah, it's just annoying because I showed my when I was trying to show my ex-girlfriend this movie, she was getting annoyed about her accent. I'm like, just how people talk. It's not to be annoyed about.
I mean, I I I don't know how everyone's different. That accent I kind of find charming and delightful because they seem so nice.
That's what I think.
Um, if I had to say an accent was annoying, it probably would be the heavy Bronx or Boston accents.
What, like Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
find The Departed annoying, do you?
No, I don't because it's so fun, and that's actually one of the few movies I like Mark Wahlberg in because that's what he can play.
It's just because him and Matt Damon are actually from Boston, so they know how to do the accent. Everybody else is trying to put it on, and it's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I like so many people in that movie. I think Jack's having a good time. It might be his last good performance. I think Alec Baldwin's great in it. I think Martin Sheen's good. Yeah, it's just a
But
fun
Lee
movie.
was really good at that film.
Yeah, I mean, that's Leo's wheelhouse for those kind of
I,
roles.
I'd
So.
say the least. I say the weakest was Ray Winstone because he can't do American accents.
Yeah, but I mean, he's still fun in the movie.
Oh, he's always fun, just not in Black Widow.
Oh, yeah, he is so bland and boring and trying to do a Russian accent. Oh. All I gotta say for that movie is thank goodness for David Harbour, Florence Pugh, and Rachel Weisz. They made that movie.
David Harbour would suit a Coen Brothers film.
Mm-hmm. He would be a perfect actor in their little company of weirdos and eccentricities.
They
So let's.
they should do another film with Brolin.
I mean, if there's a part for it for him, sure. I would like to see him not play a cowboy cuz like he's not even from that part of the world.
Where's he from?
I think he's from Oregon. Which
My
which
mum's
the
never been to Oregon. They've said it's beautiful.
That's what I hear. I've never been to Oregon. I mean which there are cowboys from Oregon, but it's almost as ridiculous as Sam Elliott. Guess where Sam Elliott's from?
He's from Los Angeles, isn't he?
Yep, he's from Los Angeles. He just decided to start talking like that one day. Unlike Tommy Lee Jones, who actually is from Texas. So,
There will be blood because they're in California and it kind of feels very like cowboyish.
oh well, I mean, at that time period, California is a little cowboyish, but like it isn't anymore.
Yeah.
Except probably in the northern part of the state.
Oh, with Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah. Uh, but let's talk about William H. Macy, who
Yeah.
is who
Yes, he's
is
so we haven't really spoken about out the main four.
yeah, who's brilliant, and I would say he is equally slimy and disgusting and pathetic.
Yes, yes, it's funny because in this film you want him to get everything he deserves, and then next year in Boogie Nights you're feeling sorry for the guy.
Yeah, and I'm wondering like what kind of trouble is he in that he needs this money? Is he like does he owe money to some loan sharks or something cuz like or is he just that manipulative and wanting money and feeling ashamed because he married into money and his father-in-law can't stand him that he's like I'll do whatever it takes to get this money.
I don't know. I think the Coens like to provide a little bit of mystery in their movies. You have to start
Absolutely.
asking questions when you walk out. the theater or turn the TV off.
But yeah, he is great. And apparently he was not considered for this part initially, and he persisted in getting the role.
Was it John Goodman by any chance, as he's in all of their movies?
I don't think so. I can't really see John Goodman in this role. I could see John Goodman playing either the father-in-law, which he's not old enough to play William H. Macy's father-in-law, or the accountant guy.
Yeah.
Like, I could see John Goodman in those roles. I don't see him as a Jerry because John Goodman is just too intimidating. Like, I can't see him being.
Who's kind of a bit of a coward, really.
Yeah, I can't see someone pushing John Goodman around, and not just be
Would
not.
Nicolas Cage be a good alternative choice?
Maybe, but I think they don't need that extra that Cage brings usually to a role. I mean, granted, the accents that Macy and McDormand are doing is exaggerated to the extreme. Like, it's not quite that extreme up there how people talk, but I think Cage. No, I don't. I don't think Cage would have been a good choice. You know who would have been pretty good at it and almost got the role?
Who?
Richard Jenkins.
Oh, that would have been good, because he didn't really break out till the 2000s.
Yeah, even though he's been acting since the 80s that I can remember in film.
It's the first thing I saw him in was Step Brothers, and that was 2008.
Yep.
Me,
Yep.
he's more famous since 2008 for me.
Well, that's also Burn After Reading.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good year for him, I guess.
Yeah.
Bill Pullman almost played this role.
The guy from The Sinner.
I guess. Yeah, the president from Independence Day.
Yeah, that's him. I like Bill Pullman.
Yeah, I don't know if I see him as a Jerry though.
I don't think I do. It's got to be somebody a bit more cunning. He seems a bit too kind of like respect kind of thing. He'd be better as a cop.
Right, which almost went to William H. Macy, but I'm glad he persisted because I think this role kind of semi made him famous. Maybe not famous, but at least a known name to not cinephiles.
Yeah.
Like people, like, because he had been in stuff before, but I think that it was mostly smaller roles or stage acting till then.
Yeah.
And yeah, he really shines. He got Oscar nominated as well, but lost to Cuba Gooding Jr. for Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, that, to be honest, Cuba Gooding Jr. isn't my favorite performance in Jerry Maguire. It's actually Jonathan Lipnicki.
I mean, that's got to be one of the best kid performances in film, right?
Mm-hmm. Along with Haley Joel Osment for the Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense, absolutely. Yeah, phenomenal performance. But this movie perfectly captures what a Coen Brothers movie is for me. And that
directing.
Because of what?
The directing.
Well, the directing for sure, but I was going to say because almost in every Coen Brothers movie, people get themselves involved in something that's way over their heads, and it just gets worse and worse until it all blows up. And I think karma exists in the world of the Coen Brothers. If you do something bad, bad things are going to happen to you.
Just like you basically have described the plot of most their movies.
Yeah, it's exactly most of their movies. That's what happens. I mean, this guy
own a day steal a baby. In Big Lebowski, he's pestering this billionaire because of his P drug. Obviously, Josh Brolin comes round the corner of the money from No Country, and in Burn After Reading, it's Brad Pitt and Hounds on the CD.
Yep. Yep. Everybody just doing these horrible things and bad things happening. Like, yeah, he gets in with these lowlifes and tells them to kidnap his wife because his father-in-law will give them money. And of course, he doesn't know anything about these guys and what they're capable of, and things just get worse and out of hand, and then the cops get involved. And
It all goes downhill from there.
it all goes downhill from there. So
The money goes missing at the end as well.
Yep, buried in the snow somewhere.
And whoever picked up that briefcase is a lucky man or woman or
Yeah,
person.
if you watch the there's a TV series. It's not really connected to this, but it's kind of an homage and tribute to like the Coen brothers.
Oh, it's the Fargo series.
Yeah, in the first season, there is a subplot where one of the characters finds like the money, and that's like the only really nod to the movie they do.
Wow.
Which is kind of interesting. Because if I remember right, did he just take Peter Stormare's half out and buried the rest? Because it was $1 million, but they're under the illusion it was 80,000. So I guess William H. Macy was trying to screw him out of some money.
Yeah, something like that. So there is an elephant in the room I wanted to point out with the early Coen Brothers movies.
Sure.
On the producer credits, it's just Ethan, and on the directing credits, just Joel. Did they used to say, Joel, you direct, I'll produce, and then they just started doing it together later on, or is that just a crediting thing?
Well, I forget why they only were crediting Joel at the time as the director, because they both were directing. I don't know if it was just easier to just have one name instead of both. And I can't remember which movie they finally started putting both of their names on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they've always both directed and they both write. So it's kind of interesting that, Joel has now made a movie without Ethan, and now Ethan is going to make his own movie without Joel.
They haven't fell out, have they?
I don't think so. Or if they have, they're keeping it like under wraps and not revealing what it's about. But I don't think so, because at the time it said Ethan wanted to focus more on doing plays and stage stuff. I don't know, but if they never work together again, they've got an amazing body of work, and they'll always be loved.
Film together was amazing.
Yeah, and this is kind of the movie, I wouldn't say puts them in the mainstream, because they've never been mainstream people, but this...
They just worked with mainstream actors and on like a good budget.
But this is, even though Barton Fink kind of puts them on the pedestal of their being respected by critics and other filmmakers, this is kind of the movie.
On to be one of the greatest directors of all time.
Who's that?
Joel and Ethan.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But this is the movie I think that puts them in the stratosphere of where cinephiles and movie nerds are like, oh, I gotta go see everything these guys do. If they weren't already on the radar.
Yes, man.
What's that?
I've still not seen The Serious Man.
Oh, you need to see that. That is another kind of encompassing Coen movie that it captures a Coen film. And it's basically their interpretation of the Book of Job.
Okay, that sounds interesting. It's what made School Bard famous, isn't it?
Yeah, that's kind of what put him on the map as an actor for film. And it also takes place in Minnesota. Speaking of which, what do you think about them basically lying to us and saying this is based on a true story, but it is not.
To get into this, like, why does it say it's based on a true story? Is it inspired by events that happened and they just put their own story around it?
That's exactly what happened. So there was a similar crime that did take place, and so they decided to make a fictional story around this type of crime.
Right. And I like how it's set in the 80s. So they always set their films in random places in time. They normally don't set it in modern day. They're like Robert Eggers.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think Burn After Reading might be the only movie they've done that's modern day.
When's Raising Arizona set?
Oh, that's modern day too. You're right. So Raising Arizona and Raising Arizona and Burn After Reading.
Yeah. I think set in the early 90s.
It is set in the early 90s, so it's not that far removed from when it was made.
And No Country is set in the 80s. Well.
Yeah, it's set in the 80s. Which, I mean, this came out in 96, so 87 is not that long ago.
Yeah, it's not that long ago.
If I had to make one complaint about this movie, it would be the subplot where Frances McDormand sees that guy she went to high school with.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Oh, he's cool.
Yeah, it's not a bad scene, and it's like she's being very sweet and nice in a situation that could be scary, but I think he's not like a scary creep. He's just kind of a sad and lonely guy.
And he was happy for her.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know the justification of that scene. Like, you don't need it, but it is a nice scene.
I think he was trying to show that even though she was married, she could still get along with other blokes as normal as friends. You don't do that in movies these days.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm friends with a lot of girls and stuff, and obviously, you know, I like how it is represented that she can still be friends with men even though she's married.
Right. So you don't buy Billy Crystal's philosophy then?
Well, the men and women can't be just friends.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with When Harry Met Sally is it tries to prove that point throughout the film, and then it doesn't prove at the end of the film. That's my only goal with When Harry Met Sally. I think it's a really funny film, but it's just that it defeats itself.
So you don't like the movie?
No, I love the movie. I just think it defeats itself.
Okay, yeah. Because I think it's one of the best romantic comedies ever made.
It's not my favorite Rob Reiner film.
Is your favorite Princess Bride or Spinal Tap?
Stand By Me.
Oh, yeah, it's a brilliant film. Talk about a director who had a great run and then just kind of petered off.
What's he doing with himself nowadays?
He's still making movies. They just hardly ever get wide release or seen.
I heard about one he made a couple of years ago called Being Charlie, which hurts quite a bit.
Yeah, it's just really strange how someone who made arguably 7 classic films and now just kind of.
Are you regarding A Few Good Men as one of them?
A Few Good Men, yeah. I mean, if nothing else, it made Aaron Sorkin who he is.
One of the greatest writers of all time.
Yep, and that's where he should stay.
Now, I'm not big on him as a director, whereas John and Ethan do both really well.
Yeah.
Have they ever made a movie they haven't written?
The Coens?
Yeah.
No, but I think Intolerable Cruelty and maybe even the Lady Killers, but I know for sure Intolerable Cruelty, they came in as script doctors. So
Yeah,
the script was already written, so it wasn't theirs originally, and they weren't supposed to direct, but they had a film. I think it's called To the Sea,
yeah.
which was going to have Brad Pitt in it. They were adapting it off a novel, and they never got the project made. Like they almost quit filmmaking because of that project.
Bloody hell.
And so I think it shows in that movie, and I'll see when I rewatch it, but it's one of my least favorites of theirs, and I think you can tell because their touches it isn't their
The only good things about Intolerable Cruelty were George Clooney, Jeffrey Rush, and Catherine Zeta-Jones.
right. That movie should have been like great, right? Screwball romantic comedy with two of the hottest people on the planet at that time,
Yeah.
who are both charming.
Zeta-Jones won an Oscar the year before.
Yeah. And then Clooney goes on to win an Oscar a couple of years later. Yeah. That should have been like really good. Directed by the Coens, a screwball romantic comedy with Clooney and Zeta Jones. If I remember, they have good chemistry.
Yeah.
So it's not them. I guess it's just the plot.
So this film premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, but lost the Palme d'Or to Mike Leigh's Secrets and Lies, which I've been meaning to check out for a very long time.
Yep, I have not seen that, and that's interesting because they both go on to be nominated for Best Picture as well.
And lose the English Patient.
Lose to the English Patient. This was an interesting Oscar year, though, because this is the year that 4 out of the 5 films were considered independent films. I don't know if you can say The English Patient is an independent film, but I guess it's considered an art house movie. And
yeah.
Even though this is back in the day when Oscar-nominated movies actually did well at the box office, because I guess people paid more attention to the Oscars back then.
Yeah.
But the only Hollywood movie that year, or studio film, is Jerry Maguire out of the nominated films. So that's kind of interesting.
And Jerry Maguire didn't get nominated for Best Director.
Yeah, they didn't nominate Cameron Crowe, so
yeah. Coen lost to the late great Anthony Minghella.
Yes. It's been a long time since I've seen The English Patient. I remember thinking it was a decent movie, fine. I'm sure it's good, but
I like my history, so I like The English Patient.
But this was probably my first Coen Brothers movie. If this wasn't my first one, it was Raising Arizona.
Yeah.
And even though I was entirely too young to be watching this when it first came out,
I was 15.
Oh, I was even younger than that. I was like 11. Because my dad rented it, and I had no idea what I was watching. And then I think when I watched it later, as a little bit older, I think I enjoyed it because this comes out post Pulp Fiction, right? So it's kind of in that. So it's kind of in that post Tarantino world, but works for people who like that movie.
It won Best Original Screenplay.
Absolutely, and it deserved it. And I'm glad they got that Oscar because it's an incredible screenplay. And that's something the Coens always do so well, is how they texture their screenplay. And the thing I like about the Coens as filmmakers is there's not too many
films. They don't make films to get loads of money. They make films because they want to.
Absolutely. But the thing I love about them also is that there's no one else like them.
No.
They're almost their own genre.
Yes.
And the other thing I like about them is that they immerse their style and writing into whatever type of movie they want to make.
Their films have inspired a lot of other filmmakers I like. I see a lot of Coen Brothers and Martin McDonagh's films, like in Bruges and Three Billboards. I see a lot of Coen Brothers inspiration in them films.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they've definitely had an influence on filmmakers, but nobody does the Coens better than the Coens. It's the same thing as it's the same thing as all those people that were trying to be Tarantino in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It's like there's only one Tarantino, love him or hate him. There's only one. And the same thing with the Coens.
It lost editing to the English patient as well, and cinematography.
I mean, it's just a different era of the Oscars at that time, and at that
nominated for best dramatic or musical comedy score.
Did they still separate them then at that point? They did, didn't they?
Yeah, where would you put Fargo as? Dramatic or music or comedy?
Oh, it's so hard. It just depends, I guess, on who because it so verges the line, it totes the line. You could put it as either genre. I'm just gonna say it's a dark comedy.
Yeah, that's I always class Fargo as.
Like, it's like we said, it's really only a comedy because of the actors and the characters.
Okay, the Golden Globes suck. How does Frances McDormand lose to Madonna?
Because the Golden Globes only care about celebrities.
Right.
No one's ever taken the Golden Globes seriously, so now that they've kind of been canceled because of their racist issues.
You can't necessarily say they're racist when a Korean bloke won last year.
I don't know all of the issues with the Golden Globes, but I knew it has something to do with members of the Hollywood Foreign Press either being racist or something to that regard.
So you don't always assume it's just whoever buys the nicest dinner, like I think.
I mean, you know, they want the celebrities there. They want, because if you've seen some of the top people they nominate in films they nominate, you're like,
they nominate music when it was one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life.
Right. Exactly. Like, why are they nominating that? And that really doesn't even have anyone huge at, like, okay, Kate Hudson and
Leslie Odom Jr., Juliet
Leslie Odom Jr., yeah.
A couple of big names. Everybody's either making themselves or just washed up.
Yeah, which I would say that Leslie Odom Jr. is more famous than Kate Hudson at this point.
Well, yeah, he's going to be in Knives Out too with Kate Hudson.
Oh, how about that? Yeah, I can't wait for that movie. But yeah, this is just a different time period at the Academy, and The English Patient at this point in time. Now we look at it and they'll go, "Oh yeah, of course that's an Oscar movie. That's the type of movie Oscar got people like." And at the time, that's true. And so I think that
was held up as one of the greatest films of all time.
Which is why it doesn't matter if you win an Oscar or not, because yeah, there are more people talking about Fargo 25 years later than they are The English Patient. Not that The English Patient is a bad movie.
No, it's not the slightest.
It's just Fargo is, and that's partly because of the film culture is mostly male, and this is more of what film Twitter and film bros like than The English Patient.
Not only that, it has a great representation of strong female characters.
Absolutely. It's got to be one of the best female protagonists on screen. And like I said, The thing I like is that there's none of that sexist misogyny politics going on in this movie.
Definitely.
Hey, Chris.
Hi, Chris. I think his mic's off.
Yeah, you're on mute.
Oh, when he's copying me with the goatee.
Yeah. You're all just copying me, actually.
He did not copyright the goatee. You probably copy it off somebody else.
I mean, I've been rocking this since 2007, off and on. Even before I shaved my head.
What's your original hair color?
Brown.
There we go.
Nice.
Chris, welcome.
Hey guys, sorry I had technical difficulties this morning with Facebook not wanting me to see my messages, so I had to log in and back out several times.
Well, we were having tech problems too before we got started, both of us.
I had to use my phone instead of my laptop.
So, what are your thoughts on Fargo?
Yeah,
I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the characters. I think the actors nailed it. I love Frances McDormand. I caught you guys talking about strong female performance. I totally agree with that. I love her husband is so sweet.
Yeah, we were talking about him at the start of the episode.
I loved the husband, who I thought was great. Who is that? That is
John Carroll Lynch.
Yes.
Did you ever watch the Drew Carey show?
I was just gonna say I know him as Drew Carey's brother. So
yeah.
But I loved it. I love Steve Buscemi's in this. Steve Buscemi in this. Man, what's not to love about this movie? And it's one of my favorite Coens. Like we've been rewatching the Coens, but after rewatching this, man, I just love it more and more every time I see it.
Yeah, I get hooked in. Like, I didn't watch it all Wednesday night. I watched most of this yesterday, but I was laying in bed, and so I'll usually just put something on my tablet till I get sleepy, because I'm not one of those people that just automatically can go to sleep.
I'm the same. I have to watch Simpsons or Family Guy before bed.
But I think I was about 30 minutes into this movie before I started getting sleepy, because I'm like, man, this is so good. Just the dialogue, and it just sucks you in.
Yeah, I watched it a month ago when I showed my friend Dan Harris it for the first time, because he'd never seen it before, and I was telling him it's one of the best crime comedies of all time.
Yeah,
it's nice when you introduce somebody to this movie.
And
if somebody says to me they don't like it, I'm like, how do you not like this movie? So I said not to like this movie.
Well, you know who didn't like this movie?
Who?
You probably don't know who this individual is, because it's an American politician. He tried to run for president. Senator John Kasich of Ohio.
He didn't like the movie.
Well, bless
no,
his heart.
in fact, I think he wrote about how much he hated it and how deplorable and immoral it was, and was so disgusted that the Blockbuster employee recommended the movie to him.
Well, let's look at it this way. Senator who? And then we have Fargo.
Yeah.
Senator what's a floopy doop? That we don't even know about anymore. And then we get this awesome movie that just lives on forever. So who was right and who was wrong in that? I think
So do you think it was deserving of its Oscar for Frances McDormand and its screenplay?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Frances
So
McDormand is
can I read out the awards I gave it from a Fleming Awards code?
Did you give it Best Picture?
Yes, I gave it Best Film, Best Director, Best Actress, Best Original Screenplay, Best Score, Best Editing, Best Production Design, Best Cast, and Best Sound.
Did give William H. Macy the Oscar, though, huh?
No, I gave Best Supporting Actor to Robert Carlyle for Trainspotting.
That is a great performance, so I can't fault you there.
And I also gave
I love
Trainspotting
William H.
Best
though.
Actor for Hugh McGregor and Best Adapted Screenplay.
Oh, well, he wasn't even nominated, though, Robert Carlyle.
Or Ewan.
Huh?
I'm talking about my Flemings.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Oscars, though. He wasn't nominated at all.
Not much love for Trainspotting from the Oscars, but again, that is a film that lives on more than The English Patient.
Yep. And I think Mr. Mangela's best movie is The Talented Mr. Ripley.
I don't know,
Which-
I do like Cold Mountain.
I still need to watch that one. Everybody makes fun of it, though.
I like Cold
And-
Mountain. It's long, it's drawn out, but it's a beautiful movie. Like,
And Renee Zellweger steals the show.
yeah,
See, I've heard. Didn't she get an Oscar for that? But I also hear some people like don't like that performance and say like it's over the top.
I think whoever like says that is just a nitpicker.
yeah. I just remember when that movie. I was working at the theater when that movie came out, and I remember something happened. I either had to ask a lady to leave because she took her baby into it and it wouldn't stop crying. You know, she couldn't get it to stop crying, so I had to be the bad guy and go and ask her to leave. No, I take that back. That was a lady that brought her toddler into Passion of the Christ, and I had to go remove her, and it upset her and like the whole audience, even though it was the audience who came and were griping about the lady.
Why did you take a toddler to see Passion of the Christ?
Probably because she couldn't get a babysitter.
I will tell you,
I watched that film for the first time this year, and I would not show a child that movie because of how violent it is.
I know some people just are dumb. Like I've seen people take their kids to movies. I'm like, what are you doing? Now, of course, you know, parents' discretion, but some movies I'm like, come on. Like
I remember going to see Blade 2 with a buddy of mine, and we were in there, and this man and woman brought all their young kids in there, and they were like, it was me, my buddy, that couple and their kids, and like maybe a few other people. So we were spread out, but they just let their kids run all over the place. And I was just, luckily the movie was loud enough that it didn't.
A lot of kids got kicked out when Batman was on this year because I went
really?
out. Yeah,
Because they were being loud or because
It
your
was-
ratings?
it was rated 15, and you're not allowed to obviously go unless you're under 15. And you stretch it with 12.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's because you guys have that in between rating.
Mm.
Do you
I'll
not
tell
have
you,
15 like equivalent rating, just PG-13 and R?
Yep, PG-13 and R.
Is that why I'm getting a bit confused with the whole Doctor Strange debate going on?
What are they debating? Because I don't know why it needed to be rated R.
PG-13 or R.
Yeah,
just no major spoilers because I haven't seen it yet.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah,
Is Fargo rated R?
absolutely. Because they say the F word. Like Steve Buscemi says the F word. Like
Oh yeah, and
I
there's also kind of a group sex scene as well.
yeah, which didn't know there was such an underbelly of you know, sex workers in Minnesota, North Dakota. But this movie has got to make, like, even though there is 2 sex scenes, it's got to be like the most unsexy sex scenes I've ever seen, and not just because it's Steve Buscemi. It's just like not It's like, especially that one scene where the auto mechanic guy So is he friends with Steve Buscemi or is he friends with Peter Stormare?
Oh, he's cool. He is. I like that guy.
He's great, but like that scene right there, you're like, that woman is not into this. She is just doing a job.
Yeah.
Speaking of Doctor Strange, did you guys notice there's a cameo by a friend of Mr. Sam Raimi in this movie?
Oh, I figured he'd pop up. If you're talking. Now, remember, I haven't seen it, but if you're
I'm not talking about Doctor Strange. I'm talking about Fargo.
I just googled it.
Fargo. Okay, I'm sorry.
And appearing as a soap opera actor on the TV screen, it's Mr. Bruce Campbell.
Yep.
Nice.
Which also, I love that scene too because Peter Stormare looks like, I guess, because he's just been hanging out in that cabin at the lake. Like, I guess that's all that they could get to watch is that soap opera. He looks like he's just so moved by it. Like, he's like really into it.
You don't really see. Oh, there is a thing that connects Fargo and another film from 10 years later. The name Stan Grossman connects Fargo with Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Because Bryan Cranston's character is called Stan Grossman.
When did accountants become like your cooler too? Speaking of which, in this movie, like, why is Stan Grossman like the goat for everybody in this movie?
Maybe that's why he's called in Little Miss Sunshine.
Because like the father-in-law character Wade is like, we gotta take it up with Stan, or ask Stan Grossman, he'll tell you. Like, who makes him the authority? I guess because he handles the money.
Yes, because he handles the money.
Yeah, so before we get to rating this thing, is there anything else we want to bring up about Fargo or why we think it's
the ending?
Yeah, what do you like about the ending? Even though I think it's a dour ending, I think it's kind of sweet too.
I think it's a sweet ending because she wins.
Yeah.
She wins, and then like she comes face to face with the criminal, even though he's in the backseat of the car, and she's just like, "Why did you do it all?" kind of thing. Was it worth anything? No, I just love that conversation they have in the car.
And do we think all works out for Marge because in the Coen brothers world, because she's a good person and she doesn't do anything maliciously or harmful, that good comes back to her?
Yes, and hopefully the birth of her child goes well, and I hope that she becomes a great mother.
That's what I like to pretend, like in my head canon, that they were just the sweetest couple. Like, they're probably one of my favorite parts about this whole movie was their whole aesthetic.
And one more question I wanted to ask Code out of her. Do you prefer Frances in this or Three Billboards?
I prefer this character to her character in Three Billboards, but that is a performance. She's a force of nature in that movie.
Because she's playing a mother dealing with grief.
Yeah, and I think that
can pull that off.
I mean, I don't know. I can't say how many actresses can pull that or not pull that off.
The only other performance I compare it to is Jodie Whittaker's performance in the TV show Broadchurch.
Oh yeah, she's great. She's great in that. But I think that performance, that subject matter, that movie just hit at the right point in our culturally in our time, because that's when the Me Too movement really started. And I think that was a big part of her acclaim for that performance and the accolades. But it's still, man, what a performance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which
about I prefer. I think Nomadland is the weakest out of the three Oscar wins. She feels like she's playing herself in that movie.
Yeah, it's a good performance, but I don't think she should have won for Nomadland. I think Carey Mulligan should have won.
Oh yeah, Carey Mulligan was playing a fleshed out character.
Yeah, but it's fine. Give Frances McDormand another Oscar so she can rub it in Holly Hunter's face that she has 3 instead of 1.
And they're both in Arizona.
They are both in Raising Arizona. They are friends. They both lived with the Coen brothers.
Did Holly date Ethan for a bit?
No, they did not date. You know who else lived in that house with them?
John?
No, Sam Raimi.
Nice.
And oddly, someone you think that would have been in a Coen Brothers movie by now, but hasn't, Kathy Bates.
She'd be amazing. Wow.
Yeah, can't you see her in a Coen Brothers movie as a Coen Brother character?
Yeah.
I can see her. Yeah.
She can play anything.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know what's going on there, guys. Or maybe she just couldn't stand them because she's like about 10 years older than the rest of them.
She ain't old living with those guys. That had to be something else.
Well, also at this point, it's kind of like when Joel and Frances are getting together and dating, and like apparently they used to stay up reading poetry to each other. Maybe Kathy Bates was like, "Oh my God, shut up! I'm trying to go to bed. I have a 7 o'clock call tomorrow."
You kids settle down in there.
Married to Frances since 1984.
Yep, around the time their first movie came out.
Was she in Blood Simple then?
Yeah, she's the lead.
Oh, nice. And it's her first film as well.
Yep.
Nice.
Which almost went to Holly Hunter.
Nice.
But Holly Hunter couldn't do the role because of a stage play she was in, because it's set in Texas. So it makes more sense that they wanted Holly Hunter for the role.
Right.
I also like how Frances can do films about Joel directing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't always have to rely on Joel for work.
Nope. People want to work with her because she's amazing.
She is amazing.
And she based this off her sister, who's a minister, and she also visited with a female police officer that was pregnant. And like she based her accent off one of the girls she interviews that were with Buscemi and Stormare.
Yeah.
Because I guess they used a lot of locals.
To you about two of her Wes Anderson films, Moonrise and The French Dispatch.
I prefer her in Moonrise because her segment in The French Dispatch is my least favorite of the 3.
Yeah, I think that is what lets the film down.
Because I think the first and last segment are really good, but that second one's kind of tedious to me.
Yeah.
Also, apparently, the body pillow or whatever she was wearing to be pregnant, apparently it was so cold when they were filming that it like shattered one night.
Do you think it's realistic for a female pregnant policewoman to investigate a murder case?
In a small town like that, absolutely, because your police force is small.
I know, I just feel like asking a lot of police officers around here if it's realistic.
I mean, I don't know, because you guys in your smaller communities have a small police force too, right?
I think it's more the county police now.
Yeah. And do people get... Do the cops get called out to get swans back into the lake?
No, but that would be funny.
I was about to ask if it's just like Hot Fuzz, and if you tell me any different, Robbie, I'm going to be upset.
All right, I will tell you guys this. Summerfield did used to be a shop.
Was it?
Summerfields did used to be a shop. It got brought out by Waitrose.
Oh wow.
Do we have anything else we want to bring up about Fargo?
It's wonderful. Watch it. I'm sorry, I'm late to the game, guys. I can't just like spill all of my thoughts out at once, but watch it. It's a wonderful movie. You will not regret it.
You will not.
So, Robbie, here is our ratings for the Coen brothers. If you love this movie, you think it's a masterpiece, it's a damn fine picture. If you enjoy it, you think it's entertaining, it hits its marks, then we say it's quirky but delightful. Of course, there's the deep dive rating if you think it's a little more obscure or for fans only. If it's a little mediocre, didn't quite hit up to snuff, it's kind of a meh of a movie, then it was funny looking, you know? Like Steve Buscemi. Or if it's terrible, it's horrible, it's a disaster, then the only word I use to describe it then is just like the plot of a Coen brother movie. It's a clusterfuck.
It's definitely not a clusterfuck. It's the first one you said. Damn good film.
Absolutely.
Would you say the same, Code?
Absolutely. This is my favorite Coen brothers movie. I think if you...
And I'm glad you brought me on here today to talk about it.
Oh, we're glad to have you. You're welcome anytime. And yeah, this would be the movie I would show someone if they're like, what's a Coen brothers movie like? I'd be like, well, it's kind of like this. May not be your favorite one, but if you wanted to capture what a Coen brothers movie is like, this is the perfect meld of all the type of genres they like to play in.
Definitely. And it's only 90 minutes, so there's not much to get bored by. You just got to be
you're in, you're out. It's not too much of your time of a commitment, so yeah, it's not a long movie. Sometimes
even if the Coen brothers aren't you, still give this a go because it's still entertaining on a lot of different levels.
What do you think, Chris?
I am going to go with quirky and delightful. Just right under damn fine. Because it's really hard to choose between... Because, you know, I just watched Hudsucker Proxy, which is amazing. Huge Lebowski fan here. Like, all of their previous films are just so good. But you were talking about like a good introduction movie for people into Coens. I was gonna throw Raising Arizona in there as well as being able to show them like, hey, watch this movie or watch Fargo.
Well, if I was going to introduce them, like kind of coax them into watching getting into Coen brothers, I would probably go Raising Arizona or Hudsucker. But if someone's like, what's a Coen brothers movie like? If they just wanted to know like what captures their kind of style and feel, then I'd go with Fargo. But if I'm trying to ease someone into the Coen brothers universe, so to speak, then yeah, I would go one of those.
You're right. Fargo is a mesh of like their
comedy and serious.
Yeah, it has the comedy, it has the quirkiness, it has the murder and the blood and the gore and stuff like that. So it really is a mesh of everything. So you're definitely right on that, Cody. Like just a smorgasbord of Coen brothers. But yeah, I'll go ahead and give it a quirky and it's borderline quirky and delightful and just damn fine movie. Like it's right there. But there's just so many more of theirs that I like and respect that it's hard to choose. So I'll go ahead and give it quirky and delightful.
Well, as I said last time with Kevin, and I'll say it again, We could all make a top 5 list of our favorite Coen Brothers movies, and I bet you they would almost all be different. If there was one identical, it'd probably only be one movie.
Yeah, you're not digging at me and Justin for making our Coen Brothers list, and No Country wasn't in there, right?
I was okay with you guys not having No Country in there, but you guys had Ballad of Buster Scruggs a little too high for me. I don't think it's their top tier.
I liked No Country because I'm a Cormac, McCarthy fan.
I've read
Yeah.
the book sounds funnier than the movie, and I feel that's what the Coen Brothers missed on.
The book's not funny at all.
No, it's just the way in the book he says I don't want to get the car dirty. Happy about them because easily pulled that line off perfectly.
But off topic, Chris, did you know in McCarthy's Western novel Blood Meridian, guess where it starts in?
Where's that? Because it's been
Nacogdoches. Starts in
Ah,
Nacogdoches, Texas.
nice. Okay, I totally forgot or missed that. So it's been a long time, and when I got to go back and reread it. But I do like The Road.
Oh,
Is
that's a
another
beautiful film.
gory, just so depressing, but so good. Like I was touched by that movie. It was very, very well done. But
Well, Robbie, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for talking Fargo with us. We're gonna.
Keep having me on. I can't wait to come back and talk Gladiator and Burn After Reading.
That's right. You're gonna come back and talk Burn After Reading with us for the Coens, but you're gonna come back later this month, and we're gonna talk about another Oscar-winning film from Ridley Scott, Gladiator, which starts a whole nother period in his directing career.
Yes, and I've got round to watching Kingdom of Heaven.
Did you watch the theatrical or director's?
Theatrical, because it was the only one on Disney Plus, but I would like to see the director's cut.
Oh, you absolutely need to seek it out. It's like almost an.
oh yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Cody. I was gonna say probably we were gonna say the same thing. It's an entirely different movie. Like it just adds so much.
Well, it's almost an hour longer, and there's just more subplots with Eva Green and Edward Norton's characters to give them more.
I was interested in the plot. That's where I thought the film was going to lack, but I actually ended up enjoying the plot.
So, yeah, I highly recommend it. It is probably the strongest director's cut, like even more so than Blade Runner, because even though the theatrical cut of Blade Runner isn't the best version, it's at least a complete movie.
I think I've just seen like the final cut.
Yeah, that's the preferred cut, and that's usually what's up on streaming nowadays is the final cut.
But it doesn't have the ending that was taken from The Shining.
Yeah, the original ending of Blade Runner is a happy ending of them driving off into the sunset and using scenes they cut out of The Shining for that scenery. Yeah.
Is it bad? I prefer Blade Runner 2049.
No, I think Blade Runner 2049 is actually a superior film as well, even though I love the original.
The original's a good, it's an introduction film. It's a great introduction to the world, to if you're, especially if you're a first timer. But then you get to 2049, and it's just it's so much more. God, that movie's so great.
And it looks amazing.
Yeah.
But Chris, next week you're gonna be happy because we're talking one of your all-time favorite movies, The Big Lebowski.
Lebowski, cool. I'm ready. I'm here for it. So,
So next Ridley film.
Next Ridley film.
Yeah,
It's gonna be Gladiator with you into this month.
sweet.
Yeah, I'm ready.
And then Sunday morning, guys, we're talking the Holy Trilogy, the OG Star Wars trilogy. Which, when we get done here, I got to go watch Return of the Jedi.
Nice. And Cody's doing a guest review for my website on Clone Wars film.
Yeah. Oh.
On which one?
The Clone Wars.
Oh, okay. Clone Wars. Yeah.
Yeah. The movie, though, not the TV show.
Yeah. I remember I went to the theater to see that.
Wow.
Hey, you know what? When it was released, it was still a big deal, because we weren't. I don't know. It's kind of like Shadows coming out before the re-releases. It was a huge deal, and I think that's what they were doing, was kind of testing the waters for Clone Wars. But I enjoyed it when it came out. It was fun to watch on the big screen, but I mean, the series itself is definitely better as a whole. But I won't get on that I won't get on that stool and start preaching. You guys, that's for your.
Wow. Well, I did not see it in the theaters because at that point I was kind of done with Star Wars. And I didn't watch it till I watched the series. And when I learned that it was originally supposed to be the pilot for the TV show, but Lucas decided to release it theatrically.
I mean, you can tell it's a pilot for sure.
So
just marketing ploy, but
yeah. But it ended up being a great thing, even though the movie itself is kind of meh.
Yeah.
Because the TV show is amazing, and I'm going to say that Dave Filoni actually makes the prequels. I think he's a big part of why there's a revaluation now of the prequels. Because people are like...
Attack of the Clones is one of the worst films ever made in my eyes.
I don't know. It's not great, but the Obi-Wan is good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. If you haven't seen Fargo, go watch it. Go crank your AC as low as it goes. Wrap yourself up in a blanket. Get you a buffet smorgasbord of your comfort food and watch Fargo.
And if you're married, enjoy time with your husband or wife.
Yeah.
Well, guys, sorry I was late, and thanks for letting me jump in towards the end. Robbie, it was nice to see you again. And
yes, nice
as always, Cody. So, thanks for letting me spew my thoughts towards the end. So,
absolutely. Thanks again, Robbie. Everybody have a good weekend. If you're here in Texas, stay cool because it's hot already and it's just May.
Yeah, hitting them 90 plus degree days already.
And it looks windy in the UK.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again, Robbie. We'll see you in a couple of weeks to talk Gladiator.
Again, which is one of my other favorite movies.
Well, nothing wrong with that. Let's talk about movies we love. But when we do these director series, sometimes we talk about movies we don't love so much.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you. Bye-bye.